This is Ketora Denise Feazell, a breathtaking 28-year-old model and the creative mind behind Kurra Echelon Clothing, her very own boutique. She rolled up to her boyfriend's driveway on that doomed afternoon, fresh from a trip to Miami, just swinging by to drop off a few things at Marvin Simmons' place, an everyday task that should have been quick and easy. Little did she know, beyond that door lurked not only Marvin, but another woman, his hidden girlfriend, the mother of his kid. In a savage act, Marvin fired 7 shots at this woman who'd simply stopped by, ending her life on March 7th, 2022, in Las Vegas. When the ambulances screeched to a halt, it was already over. Ketora Feazell, with her radiant grin and big dreams of making it as an entrepreneur, lay lifeless in the driveway of the man she'd trusted, the same man who just pulled the trigger. Her final moments peel back the curtain on how jealousy, tangled with betrayal, can ignite chaos. This wasn't some fleeting outburst or a messy love, spat gone bad. It was the lethal fallout of hidden truths, crossed lines, and raw emotions spiraling out of control. I would like to ask you to write in the comments which country you are watching this video from. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Underworld Exposé and share this video with your friends. This story needs to be heard so that similar tragedies do not repeat themselves. Long before her name hit the news, Ketora Denise Feazell was a whirlwind of energy. By 28, she'd carved out a legacy most chase for a lifetime, a standout reputation in the cutthroat modeling world, and a buzzing boutique she'd built from the ground up. With her striking looks and a knack for business, Ketora didn't just wish for greatness, she molded it herself. Her shop turned into a go-to spot for fashion lovers, where her sharp sense of style reshaped wardrobes and mirrored her bold personality. Every item she stocked carried a piece of her vibe, just like the woman who handpicked them. Ketora had this way of owning any space she stepped into, a high school buddy reminisced. Her vibe was electric. People couldn't help but gravitate toward her. When she laid out her big plans, you'd buy into them without a second thought. That ambition stretched far beyond her store. Her modeling gigs showed off her range, nailing everything from ad campaigns to high-fashion spreads. She brought a pro's edge to every shoot, earning raves from photographers and clients alike. Her Instagram was a gallery of killer shots and sneak peeks into her boutique hustle. But stats and wins only scratched the surface of who Ketora was. Her friends couldn't stop talking about her big heart, how she'd guide rookie models through the industry maze, tossing them tips and chances whenever she could. They'd bring up her laugh, this wild, free sound that came straight from her soul. They'd rave about her grit, how she'd burn the midnight oil perfecting her next move, never settling for half measures. She was destined for huge things, her old boss said. She got that success takes hustle, and she was all in, scribbling down goals, mapping out 5-year dreams, 10-year victories. Ketora wasn't just fantasizing, she was constructing her empire. She had her sights set on a second store, bigger modeling deals, and someday dropping her own fashion line. Pals remember her doodling designs over lunch, or digging into fabric suppliers on her downtime. Her phone was littered with ideas, color schemes, textile picks, little hints of a future that got snatched away. I would like to ask you to write in the comments which country you are watching this video from. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Underworld Exposé and share this video with your friends. This story needs to be heard so that similar tragedies do not repeat themselves. What guts you about Ketora's tale is the gap between her sky-high path and the brutal dead end she hit. This woman, who plotted her tomorrow with laser focus, never saw it screeching to a halt in her boyfriend's driveway. The boutique she poured her soul into now stands as a quiet tribute to her. The modeling gigs she was lining up sit unsigned. Her clothing line lives only in rough sketches and jotted notes. A vibrant life of promise and hustle snuffed out in a flash by a guy who swore he cared. Ketora crossed paths with Marvin Simmons at a Las Vegas mixer for local go-getters. He strolled up, all swagger, pitching himself as a real estate hotshot with properties sprinkled across town. They hit it off, chatting for hours about game plans and big dreams. By night's end, they'd swapped digits and locked in a follow-up. She rang me right after, her bestie spilled to the press. She was buzzing about him in a way I hadn't seen. She kept saying he got her drive, that he didn't flinch at her wins like other dudes did. Their first date laid the groundwork. A swanky dinner, then a VIP peek at a luxe spot, Marvin said he was shaping up. He laid on the charm, thick, flowers, flattery, casting himself as both her lover and her business guru. For Ketora, who dealt with guys thrown off by her grind, this mix was pure gold. Soon they were glued at the hip. Marvin would pop by her shop with takeout, send over-the-top bouquets, and loop her into his crew of heavy hitters. On her socials, Ketora dropped hints of their romance, candlelit nights, quick trips, sweet snapshots selling a flawless duo. But under that shiny veneer, red flags started flickering. Marvin's hours were all over the place. Last-minute ditches, vague excuses. He'd push to crash at his spot, blaming it on his home office needs. When Ketora poked at the weirdness, he'd dodge with flashy gifts or tangled work tales too slick to unpack. He always had a comeback, a coworker who saw them together noted. She'd ask why he bailed on something big, and he'd spin some yarn about a deal, then roll up with a pricey peace offering. It was like he'd cracked the code to keep her hooked without showing up. I would like to ask you to write in the comments which country you are watching this video from. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Underworld Exposé and share this video with your friends. This story needs to be heard so that similar tragedies do not repeat themselves. Half a year in, Ketora started clocking holes in Marvin's stories, names he'd drop then ditch, partners who shifted every time he talked, buildings that felt like fairy tales. When she pushed for straight answers, their fights ramped up, usually ending with him storming off, only to slink back later with sorries and sweet talk. What she didn't catch, what would have flipped the script if she had, was that Marvin's vanishing acts tracked to another house, another woman, another whole existence. While he was wooing Ketora, he was locked into a years-long thing with a woman who'd just had his baby. He juggled this mess with ice-cold precision, weaving a web of half-truths and loyalty swaps. He kept it all in separate boxes, a mutual pal dished. With the kid's mom, he was the steady family guy. Duties, promises, the works. With Ketora, he played the hungry dreamer and doting boyfriend. He locked those lives down so tight, neither had a clue about the other. Pulling that off took non-stop hustle. 2 phones, fake alibis, strict rules on who could hit him up when. He timed his days like a drill sergeant, keeping his tracks clean and his lies straight. It held together for a stretch, but as Ketora dug deeper into his world, asking for more time, more realness, the seams started splitting. Random folks dropped odd hints. Work contacts mentioned spots he swore he'd never hit. Little slip-ups piled up, cracking his perfect front. The squeeze came from both ends. His baby's mom wanted more, family nights, stability. Ketora demanded truth, a bigger piece of his life, a real plan. Marvin was drowning, patching lies with bigger lies, juggling a tighter rope. By early 2022, his game was falling apart. Ketora Denise Feazell was starting to call out the shaky ground she stood on with Marvin Simmons. The air between them was thick with doubt, and his double-life house of cards was wobbling hard. I would like to ask you to write in the comments which country you are watching this video from. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Underworld Exposé and share this video with your friends. This story needs to be heard so that similar tragedies do not repeat themselves. Ketora was over here, a rising star in modeling and business, thinking she was crafting a future with him. Across town, his kid's mom figured she had him locked down solo. Marvin's slick charade was fraying fast. It wasn't a matter of if it'd blow up, but when and who'd get torched in the fallout. That Miami trip in March 2022 lit the fuse. Marvin probably pitched it as a reset, a slick move to cool the heat with Ketora after weeks of friction. Instead, it kicked off the dominoes that crashed into disaster. The invite dropped out of nowhere, a flashy weekend in Miami he sold as a chance to patch things up. Ketora jumped at it, hoping to save what they had. She shuffled her schedule, handed her shop to a temp, and packed with a mix of nerves and optimism. "She hit me up the night before they jetted," her sister told the cops later. "She said this was make or break, stay or walk." She was edgy but holding out for clarity. They landed in Miami Friday afternoon, settling into a ritzy beachfront spot. It looked like a postcard romance, but the vibe was off from the jump. Saturday's yacht cruise tried to paper over the rift. Passengers caught them bickering up front, all stiff smiles and sharp whispers. Ketora peeled off to snap skyline pics while Marvin hunched over his phone for 20 minutes, muttering low with his back to everyone. That night, cameras clocked her bolting the hotel solo at 8 p.m., back 3 hours later with bags in tow. She'd roam Miami's shops, dialing up friends. One voicemail, dug up after she was gone, had her shaky. "I saw something on his phone. I don't even know this guy anymore." I would like to ask you to write in the comments which country you are watching this video from. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Underworld Exposé and share this video with your friends. This story needs to be heard so that similar tragedies do not repeat themselves. What Ketora stumbled on stays fuzzy, but it flipped her world. The stuff she grabbed, later packed to dump on Marvin, drops hints. A silver picture frame sat unopened in its bag. Maybe a jab at their future, maybe ammo for a showdown. It'd all click soon enough. Sunday morning, snapped the thread. Nearby hotel guests caught a blowout around 9 a.m. By 11 a.m., Ketora was out, solo, ditching Marvin in Miami. She snagged an earlier flight, hitting Vegas by midday. She hauled off deliberate pics, the frame, some shoes, stuffed in a fancy bag. Days later, she fired off text to Marvin, short and sharp. "I've got the full picture now. Your stuff's coming back? We're through. You can't play both sides forever." Marvin's replies reeked of panic. "Hold up, I'll explain. You're missing the deal. Don't move till we talk. Where's my gear?" As her plane taxied in Vegas, their last texts pinged. "Dropping it all at your place. Then I'm ghost," she shot back. "Done." He hit fast. "Stay away from the house. Dead serious." She fired one last line. "Too late. On my way." She tucked her phone away, scooped her bag of his junk, and stepped into the Vegas sun outside her place. March 7th, 2022, kicked off like any Monday in Las Vegas. 78 degrees by noon, blue skies, a soft wind, no clue of the storm brewing. I would like to ask you to write in the comments which country you are watching this video from. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Underworld Exposé and share this video with your friends. This story needs to be heard so that similar tragedies do not repeat themselves. Reports say Ketora pulled up, banged on Marvin's door. Inside, his other woman, the mom of his kid, was there, told by Marvin to keep it locked if Ketora showed. She thought she was his one and only, blindsided by the chaos. No answer came, and Ketora's patience burned out. She hammered the door, dialed him up, got nothing. Neighbors heard shouting, saw her pacing, fuming. Then Marvin rolled in. Witnesses caught their driveway clash, words flying, tempers flaring. It spiked fast, and Marvin yanked a gun, unloading as Ketora and her sisters tried to peel out. Shots cracked the dusk. One slammed her chest. The guy she'd leaned on turned into her family's nightmare. Locals dialed 911 as Marvin stood frozen by her body, gun dangling. Cops swooped in minutes later. He dropped the piece, hands up, no fight. Medics called it. Ketora was gone. Inside, his other girlfriend sat shell-shocked, cradling their baby. "I had no idea," she kept saying, per a cop's notes, another pawn in Marvin's game. The case broke open quick. Texts, calls, neighbor cams pieced it together. Marvin got slapped with first-degree murder. The DA called it cold-blooded, saying he packed heat to bury his secrets. I would like to ask you to write in the comments which country you are watching this video from. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Underworld Exposé and share this video with your friends. This story needs to be heard so that similar tragedies do not repeat themselves. It blew up big in Vegas. Ketora was a name in modeling and business circles. Pals called her gifted, relentless, kind. Flowers and pics stacked up outside her shop, proof of her mark. Her family reeled, piecing together the guys she'd kept under wraps. "We knew she had someone," her mom told the press, "but he never showed up here. Now it adds up." Marvin's trial kicked off months later. The state laid out a tight case. Messages, footage, the works, painting him as a calculated killer, scared of Ketora spilling his double life. His team pushed it as a heat-of-the-moment snap, but the jury didn't bite. After a quick huddle, they nailed him for first-degree murder with a deadly weapon. At sentencing, the judge tore into him. "You built this mess with lies, and when she saw through it, you picked bullets. Her only fault was figuring you out." Ketora Denise Feazell's brutal end screams the cost of deceit and domestic rage. her crew keeps her alive in memory. A dazzling, driven soul stolen too soon. Marvin got life, with a parole shot in 20, Nevada's max. Experts tagged it a classic control kill case. Losing the script flips these types to violence, a crime pro said. This one's just got every step on tape. I would like to ask you to write in the comments which country you are watching this video from. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Underworld Exposé and share this video with your friends. This story needs to be heard so that similar tragedies do not repeat themselves. For her folks, the win was hollow. Justice doesn't bring her home, her dad said post-ruling. It doesn't fix what he smashed. Marvin and Ketora's saga digs into the dark guts of love twisted by lies. When someone treats partners like trophies, exposure's not just a bruise, it's a gut punch to their whole setup. Ketora's story slams home that violence doesn't drop from nowhere. Spotting the creep early can save lives if you catch the quiet warnings. Control's the first flare, tracking moves, constant pings, cutting off friends, demanding loyalty tests. Marvin's push to pick their hangouts was his leash on his split worlds. Hiding stuff's another neon sign. Real love's open, sketchy ones thrive on shadows. Vague plans, dodging intros, snappy defenses to basic asks. These scream trouble. Ketora's case yells for a rethink on relationship violence. Treat it as a preventable pattern, not some private wreck. Teach kids early what's love versus chains, fire versus ownership, space versus secrets. That's the only shot at dodging more Ketoras. I would like to ask you to write in the comments which country you are watching this video from. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Underworld Exposé and share this video with your friends. This story needs to be heard so that similar tragedies do not repeat themselves. Now, Ketora's boutique runs under new hands, but her stamp's still there. A plaque by the door holds her pick and her mantra for newbies. Claim your strength, know your value. Her parents push safety talks at schools and events, flagging signs they missed. She's not coming back, her dad says, but maybe we save someone else's kid. Vegas fashion folks throw a yearly show in her vibe, cash going to stop domestic violence. Models she mentored praise her warmth and steel, sparks that still light their way. 2 got hit that day, she told a group lately. 1 fell in the driveway, 1's here to speak. I carry both now. The house where she died has new tenants, clueless of its past. The driveway's fresh paved, scars wiped clean. For every Ketora in the spotlight, tons more face quiet threats. Their shot hinges on us, seeing the flags, giving no shame backup, building spots where help's power, not shame. What could have stopped this? Drop your take below and stick with Underworld Exposé for more raw stories that could save someone. Your words might spark the wake-up call they need. I would like to ask you to write in the comments which country you are watching this video from. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Underworld Exposé and share this video with your friends. This story needs to be heard so that similar tragedies do not repeat themselves.